I lied to a blind neighbor and told him I moved away. I call fake orders into a pizza place to get free pizzas. I stole over $20,000 in a very creative way in the 90s. No regrets. I worked at a fast food chain in the 90s when I was in high school. When I worked there, they were in the process of phasing out denominational gift certificates, $5, $10, and $25. The way it worked was if you spent more than half of the certificate, they gave you the cash back. So if you ordered $5.50 worth of food and gave them one of the $10 gift cards, they gave you the $4.50 back in cash. My manager was in charge of destroying all the existing certificates as we transitioned to the more traditional credit card looking gift cards. So my manager said he shredded the certificates like he was supposed to. But one night when I was closing, I found 2 boxes of the gift cards tucked deep in the dry storage room. They were filled with the certificates that were supposed to be shredded. So I scooped them up, brought them out to the dumpster in the trash bag, and threw them away. After we closed, I came back and recovered the back and brought the certificates home. I counted them. There were $1,025, $1,010, and $505 certificates. None of them had expiration dates. Total haul was $40K in fast food certificates. My manager never said a word. He couldn't. He had reported them destroyed weeks earlier. Over the next 3 years, my girlfriend and I toured every location in our state and the next 4 states ordering food and getting the change. We never kept track on a spreadsheet or anything, but we got good at knowing what menu items were just about half. After the first year, we started saving the change in a shoebox and let it build up. I bought my first car for $7,800 cash from the change. And for some reason, a kitty cone was $1.05. If you gave them a $5 cert, they gave you $3.95 back. We threw away a lot of kitty cones. I mean, to me, it sounds like you just played the system and you played it well. And also, your manager definitely had the same idea, you just got there first. The biggest confession is throwing away the free kitty cones. I call BS. No way the ice cream machine was actually working that often. You make a good point about the ice cream machine, but they never said they were going to McDonald's specifically, so we'll never know. Cop pulled me over and I called 911 and lied to get out of going to jail. When I was 19, I was running late to work in my tiny POS economy car and on fumes of gas. I didn't come to a complete stop on a right turn. Lights behind me, so I pull over. I know I've barely got any gas at all and was almost to a gas station, hence why I rolled through a stop a little, trying not to have the car die. At the time, around 1995, a new digital phone had come out called VoiceStream, now T-Mobile, and their whole big thing was the phones were digital and not cellular. They were the first phones with caller ID, and one of the big things the salesman had said over and over was since it was digital, the signal can't be triangulated or traced. Not that I cared, but it stuck in my mind. Well, as I give the cop my license, registration, and insurance card, I got an idea. I knew if I was late to work, I was going to lose my job. They were super strict there. So I get an idea, and right after I hand the papers to the cop and he's walking back to his cruiser, I called 911 and tell the operator I just saw a guy with what looked like a shotgun walk into a 7-Eleven that was about 2 blocks away. I confirmed the address, then I hung up. About 30 seconds later, the cop comes sprinting to my car and hands me all my stuff and rushed says, "Come to a complete stop next time," then peels off to the direction of the store. Pushed my car to the gas station that I'd almost made it to and felt pretty pleased with my ingenuity. Look, I'm not condoning this behavior, but if you're quick enough, you could probably do this. Nice work. I know a gentleman who called in bomb threats to the airport back in the late 70s because he was going to be late. All flights postponed or canceled. God, the 70s had to be crazy. Just casual bomb threats? Yeah, no biggie. My little cousin cracked my iPhone XS Max screen, made my aunt pay $329 knowing I have AppleCare, and it only cost me $29. My little cousins are the biggest poops in the world, and my aunt pretty much lets them do whatever they want without consequence. They were roughhousing and knocked my phone off the counter, shattering the screen. My closest Apple store is about 2 hours away, and it's a huge inconvenience for me to drive there, not to mention the extra gas. So instead of explaining this to her, she's the kind of person who doesn't care about things that don't affect her directly. I told her it was $329 to fix, which is true if I didn't have AppleCare. She wrote me a check for $329 $329 and I only had to pay $29 and I pocketed the extra $300. I consider that my non-disclosed inconvenience fee. I wish I had this level of scam quality because my lord, that's just such a perfect scam. I mean, it was still basically that much if you had to pay for AppleCare. They have a point. $300 was the fee for the emotional damage they caused you. I overcharged over 5,000 people. Back in high school, I used to work the concession stand. In my school, the booth was a little folding table where I would sell water, pop, and chips. To anyone that was a visiting team, I would charge 25 to 50 cents more on the item they wanted to buy, and I would keep it. I ended up making somewhere around $3,000 doing this for my high school career, and no one ever found out because I didn't charge anyone from the home team the same amount. While I don't fully agree with your business strategy, it did work out and you were in high school, so it's fine.
Joke's over, buddy. Give me back my 50 cents.
That's how the mafia works. The snack mafia. I cheated to get my bachelor's and my master's degree. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people do it, so let's see your reason. Yeah, I cheated. I didn't write any of my papers. I didn't do any of the work myself. I stole a lot of work, took only classes anyone I knew did, and used all their work for it with minor changes. I made it through 6 years and got 2 degrees. I got a scholarship out of high school by cheating. I cheated during the SAT. I cheated most of my life, and I feel a little bad, but not really. Thanks to a couple real ones for holding it down for me. Wouldn't have made it this far without you. Oh, so yeah, you just completely plagiarized. That's a little extreme, but if it worked, I guess. I had a friend in college mooch off me, and he had a better career afterwards. Now that one kind of hurts, since they actually did the work and they're still not getting great jobs. What college did you go to? Please state your first and last name and date of birth. They just want to look up your academic records. They're not going to report you or anything. I gave a lactose intolerant customer dairy on purpose. I know this sounds weird, but when I worked at Starbucks, there was a regular customer that was very difficult and rude. I was warned of this customer on my first day of training. She came in every morning and would try to rush the workers on doing their job and makes other customers feel uncomfortable. 3 months into working, she came in one morning and caused absolute hell. She was complaining about her drink while one of my coworkers was making the drink. As soon as she got it, she accidentally spills it and asked for a completely different drink. I was so fed up. She wanted a frappuccino. She went to the bathroom while we were making the new order. I switched with my coworker and made the drink. Instead of almond milk, I made the frappuccino with regular milk. The drink was ready by the time she left the bathroom. She takes the drink and takes a sip and didn't complain. 5 hours later, she calls the Starbucks from the hospital, and I was the one who picked up. She got in a car accident trying to rush to a bathroom. She said she shitted her pants. I couldn't be any more happier that she was safe, but got her karma. You know what? Understandable. If you have an unruly customer that thinks they own the place, you can dabble in a bit of dubious behavior. I faked my resume, and now I'm in the throwaway account for obvious reasons. Since I started high school, my parents stopped checking in on my grades, and their mentality was basically, we don't care as long as you get into a good university. And they've carried on this mentality to when I got into college, and they didn't really check on my grades and gave me free reign as long as I majored in the subject they wanted and graduated on time with good grades. Well, basically what happened was that I failed my first year and had to switch my major. I didn't tell them and they didn't ask, so I thought as long as I got myself together and not drop out, I'll be fine. One day, out of the blue, last semester, my dad asked me to write up a resume. I panicked and wrote up a resume, but changed the GPA and major, and made up some stuff and thought I saved myself. Well, this winter break, my dad dropped it on me and told me he knows people in a big company. He gave them my resume and everything, and wanted me to intern there. So I am effed. They'll probably figure it out and let my dad know, and I'll probably get disowned or something. And best case scenario, they don't check and give me the job, and I have to live with the guilt that I got a job that I didn't deserve because of nepotism. This stuff is depressing AF, and I'm typically an easygoing guy, but this whole ordeal is giving me anxiety like nothing else. I feel like an ass for failing and lying to my family about it, and now I'm on the verge of being blown, and I thought maybe making a post here will make me feel better, but I honestly don't know. To my knowledge, a lot of people lie on resumes, like saying they have a degree in this and that just to get the job, but with your parents so close to it, yeah, you're kind of effed. This is gonna be like waxing your ball sack. Bit of an odd analogy, but I understand it. Fake it until you make it. Seemingly, they've made it, but they just have to, keep faking it. When I was younger, I saw a lady drop $100. I picked it up and used all of it on YuGiOh cards right in front of her. Basically, she dropped the $100 bill in one of the aisles of this game store. I picked it up and I remember wanting to give it back, but I was there to get YuGiOh cards. I had recently lost all my good cards to my friend in a bet, so this was a miracle of sorts to make a solid comeback. So I kept it. I thought the woman had left the store, so I went to go purchase my cards. Right as I gave my money to the cashier, she walks up behind me, watching me buy my $100 worth of YuGiOh cards. This isn't a normal thing to do. She said nothing though, and I left before she went to go buy her items, so I didn't have to see the look on her face when she realized. There is no doubt in my mind that once she realized she was $100 short, she would make the assumption it was the kid in front of her in line who spent $100 on cards. As much as you should have given the money back, kids will be kids? I once nicked 20 pounds off my parents to buy YuGiOh cards. The addiction hits everyone at some point. Admittedly, I was a bit of a Yu-Gi-Oh head, but I never just had the money to spend, so the addiction never caught on. The intense feeling when she was right behind you. Oh, it had to have been like a horror movie, like hearing a whole soundtrack, just feeling her eyes on the back of your head. This is why I joined this sub. I'm honestly surprised the lady didn't make a comment about your balls dragging on the floor. Well, I know what you're saying, but if she did say that, she'd be in jail, so. For 3 years, I switched my partner's tea in the morning because I couldn't deal with his fake snobbery. When my ex and I started dating, I used to make him a morning cup of tea as a cute gesture, and it stuck for the 3 years that we were together. It's a nice small thing you can do to make someone's day, and it's a nice way to get to know how someone likes things doing. So my morning tea used to be any old tea bag, Yorkshire tea if it was an option, a splash of milk, and the first cup always had a teaspoon of sugar. Every cup after was just tea and milk. My ex, however, had to have a very specific ritual. Thompson's Punjana tea, a teaspoon of milk, and absolutely no sugar. He was adamant that he could tell in a heartbeat when his morning cup of tea, and at the age of 33, he's never liked any other tea other than Fortnum and Mason's Royal Blend. So, in the beginning, when he would stay at mine, I entertained this notion and used to make his morning tea the way he liked. Thompson's Punjana tea, a teaspoon of milk, and absolutely no sugar. He would always thank me and tell me that I make the best cups of tea, and it was nice. 3 times a week didn't kill me, and it was a sweet gesture. Fast forward 3 months when he would spend nearly every day of the week at mine, but not moved in. He was very demanding of his morning ritual, and being a student, I couldn't keep affording to buy that brand of tea. Besides, what was wrong with PG Tips or any non-branded supermarket tea? Tea is tea, after all. So I used to always make his cup of tea with any tea bag, a teaspoon of milk, and no sugar. I was always sure to only make it when he was in the shower or still in bed so he could never catch me out. And initially, he was dubious and he was always asking to make sure it was Thompson's Punjana tea. He used to call it by its full name to emphasize how good it was. After a few trials of different teas, I finally found that sweet point where he couldn't taste the difference. I would drink it with him, and as he sipped, would go on about how you can taste the quality and that there is really no other tea like it. When we moved in with each other, it was a lot harder to disguise the fact that I was keeping the same box of tea and just filling it with regular tea bags, so I had to be a bit more clever. At the time, I was studying at college, so I was in control of weekly food shops and only really wanted to go twice a week to minimize costs, so we had more to spend on meals out. I used to buy 1 bag of his tea and 2 bags of mine a week and keep them in the drinks cupboard. When it came to making his in the morning, I would take one of his tea bags and put it in my pocket, give him one of mine instead, and I used to give my tutors at college his tea to drink during the day. He would always comment that I run out quicker of my tea bags because of the quality, and that with Punjana, 1 bag is enough for a considerable amount of time. Little did he know. This went on for a couple of years, and I never told anyone about it out of fear that he would find out, as after all, he really couldn't tell, so why ruin the fun? It was saving me money, and it was sort of amusing. I never let him make a cup of tea unless I was away, so he never really had to find out. After we split up, we remained good friends, and I've spent some time with him too in our old flat. Every time I visit, he always asks me to make a cup of tea the way I used to for old time's sake, because everyone he's been with or dated after me can never make it taste the way I did. He even says that when he makes it himself with Punjana that he could never make it taste right and that I was some sort of special tea maker. I still haven't told him. I can feel the Britishness in this post. Yeah, didn't want to bring it up because it's obvious. What Americans really drink tea? Tea is tea. A certain island nation just died. If you post this in r/tea, there is going to be some riots happening. Do people actually care this much about tea? I guess I'm just uninformed, but it feels weird. When I nannied, I would read the journal of the mom. I was only 20 years old and I nannied for this little baby boy. The mom seemed off. She would sleep the entire time I was there in the mornings or go on 3-hour runs, or sometimes would just go about her business around the house, completely ignoring me. One time, we both sat in the living room while the baby was sleeping in his room. I was reading a book, studying, and she sat there eating McDonald's and watching her show. She did not say a word to me the entire time. Well, one day when she was out, I snooped around and found her journal. I read the whole thing, then got sad for her. She was so unhappy in her marriage and in life. I ended up working for her for 3 years and we became close. But that first year was so uncomfortable and awkward. In retrospect, it seems very obvious that she was suffering from post-pregnancy depression. Gonna say, not the coolest thing to invade their privacy like that, but I guess it worked out and you're friends? I call fake orders into a pizza place to get free pizzas. My husband works at a popular pizza chain. We'll call it Piece of Butt for the sake of rhyming. If orders are messed up or carryout orders don't show, the employees get to take the food home. Sometimes I order pizzas under fake names and give the numbers of local businesses as callback numbers, and then purposefully never show up to pay for it. 9 times out of 10, my husband brings home the pizza I ordered. This is sinful pizza, yes, I know, but sin pizza tastes better than honest pizza inexplicably. As a pizza boy myself, I can't confirm or deny if this works, but it does depend on the manager if they'll let you take the pizza, because sometimes they can be weird about it. I got fired from a pizza place when I was in college for giving a burnt pizza to a homeless old lady. It's so awesome to be punished for doing a relatively good deed. The secret ingredient is crime, and it tastes so savory and pizza-like. I lied to a blind neighbor and told him I moved away. Many years ago, I was standing on one of my balconies when a taxi driver was obnoxiously blowing his horn out front and yelling for a blind man to walk towards my voice from his own townhouse. That direction was toward traffic. My roommate and I went down and helped him to the taxi and scolded the driver for being so rude. I made the mistake of giving the blind neighbor my phone number so that I could give him a ride in the future. Then the phone calls came and never stopped. And when I gave him a ride, he would ask for various detours. I'm very calculated by nature. If he had told me beforehand where he wanted to go, it would be cool. But no, we'd be driving along and he'd throw in 2 to 3 extra places on each ride. And it came to be every day that he wanted rides. And he'd even call me to remind me to give him a ride. Not that was ever late or backed out. Finally, I had enough. So I gauged how blind he was. His response was that he was blind as a bat. A week or 2 after he said that, I told him I had a job interview in the next city. A week after that, I told him I got the job and was moving away in a month. After I moved away, it was strange as hell walking by him in silence as he stood on the sidewalk. Kind of a morally gray situation, but I understand why you did it because seemingly the guy was taking advantage of your kindness. I bet he could smell you and knew. Okay, not all blind people are Daredevil, alright? I hope he doesn't see this post. We're just getting the easy ones, huh? Plot twist, he isn't blind, but is going along with your lie to save face on his lie. While it is possible, it probably isn't. I'm just glad everybody was able to get that off their chest. And now it's time for you to get off your phone and do some homework. Thank you all once again for watching. My name is Brandon, and I will speak into your brain another day.
Bye!